and I know you're very excited about this topic, so why don't we go right into it?
Thank you so much, Steve, and thanks everybody for being here. This is a really exciting aspect of BNI support for us, and we're going to be talking about referral exchanges, but I wanted to introduce myself first and just tell you that I've been a BNI member for 5 years now, going on 6. I'm an editor and publisher in Sarasota. I am a grammar geek. I've written 10 books about American English and British English best practices. I also have an area of expertise about the history of segregation in the United States, especially in Florida. And I have done writing workshops from Portland, Oregon to Portland, Maine, from Sarasota to Seattle, and from the States to as far away as Mumbai, India. And I also have really embraced the concept of BNI being an international organization. And everywhere I go, I visit BNI chapters, and I've visited BNI chapters all over the States, in Italy, in India, and Switzerland. Next slide. So today we're going to talk about Business Builder and Referral Exchange. So we're going to talk you through how to get on your referral exchange and talk about what a real positive and powerful tool it is in our BNI toolbox. So next slide, please, Steve. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go on BNI.com and you're going to go to Member Services. And then in the drop-down box, you're going to click on the, after you log in, you're going to click on the Business Builder. And next slide, please. And once you go on Business Builder, you're going to go to Referral Exchange. But before you do that, let me strongly suggest that before you do anything, you fill out your profile. And this is just as important, if not more important, than your BNI online profile that's associated with your chapter membership. And here you're going to want to put your photo. And I'm going to give everyone a little word of advice here. I never forgot a photographer telling me this about 6 years ago. She said, change your photo every 2 years, every 20 pounds, and every change of hair color. And I am not following that practice here because this photo is every bit of 6 years old, but I needed to put something in, so it was better than nothing. But do have a current friendly looking photo with your profile in Business Builder. You're going to be able to put in a brief bio, and one of the strong parts about the bio is you're going to be able to put in what languages you speak, because those of us in the States who only speak American English are at a huge disadvantage with those of you who speak 5 and 6 languages, and that's such a powerful thing. You want people to know that you speak other languages. You're also going to be able to add in your education, which adds to your credibility, and also your experience. So these are all things that are aspects of your profile that will give people confidence about working with you and reaching out, especially across countries, to work with you. So do your profile first, and then go up to the Referral Exchange, which is also on the top bar, and click on that. So next slide, please, Steve. So now we're in the Business Builder Referral Exchange. And it's a thrilling place because there are 27 different categories that BNI has sliced out, the professions that we all occupy. And I want to encourage you to look around the categories that you're not really familiar with. I mean, there are all sorts of categories I had no idea even existed. So use this opportunity to read about the exciting things that other people are doing. You'll read about people who are manufacturing uniforms in Vietnam. There's a fella who manufactures fertilizer that is made from organic seaweed in India. You'll read about a lady who does payroll service in Johannesburg. And then there's a fellow from Qatar who is marketing the FIFA World Cup for 2022. So this is so exciting to see and read all the things that BNI members all over the world are doing within the framework of BNI. So explore the Referral Exchange and then go back to the Referral Exchange that's most appropriate for your profession. And I've chosen advertising and marketing to focus on first. And as you see at the very bottom of the slide, it says there are 226 discussions with more than 1,700 BNI members. Now, these are not necessarily all advertising and marketing BNI members. They're not just that group, but also people who are advertising and marketing to the advertising and marketing people. So there are all these people through BNI, all members, and they're all talking about advertising and marketing. So go ahead and look around this particular board. And next slide, please, Steve. So this is what you're going to see when you get on the advertising and marketing list. You see some of the parameters of posting, and you can see at the sort of the bottom some of the posts that have started there. So this is how you start, and those are the rules about posting, and that's how you'll follow the rules. Is they'll tell you up front what to do and how to compose your post. So next slide, please. And these are some of the posts that you'll see.
Right.
Oops, that's okay. That's okay. So you can see that the advertising and marketing space, which is so busy, I mean, there are all sorts of things that people are asking for. Printing materials, someone needs a graphic designer, someone's interested in talking about logo and branding. Video is huge, of course. And then I can hardly wait. I just saw this post and I'm going to have to go see and check it out. Someone says, do not let bad punctuation puncture your business communication. So I'm dying to read what Julian wrote about punctuation. When we get off this call, I'm looking forward to really scoping it out. But you're never really going to know what people are posting. You can post and then you can respond to others' posts. So I came up with a group of scenarios that are entirely likely that you could find yourself in this referral exchange, exchanging referrals. So Steve, next slide, please. So here's a great example of what can happen with this referral exchange. So Elizette Villado is a personal injury attorney with the Millard Law Firm here in Sarasota. And Elizette is fluent in Portuguese. So Elizette could have a client come to her and say, I need an immigration attorney. I need an immigration attorney who speaks Portuguese. So all of a sudden, Elizette just goes on to the referral exchange and boom, she finds an immigration attorney in Miami who's fluent in Portuguese. So this is how this whole thing is set up to work effectively. Here's another great example. Here I am. Now, I don't belong to any of those 27 categories. I'm a copy editor, an editor, and a publisher. But I also have gotten some excellent referrals from wealth managers, because people who work with wealth managers are people who have been successful and have led really interesting lives and are maybe interested in talking about them and maybe even writing down their lives. So if I reach out to the financial advisors who are in the finance and insurance category and explain what I do and who I'm looking for, I could easily get a referral from a San Francisco-based wealth manager who has a client who's led a very adventuresome life with tall ships and large ships. So this is the kind of experience that is going to make this referral exchange so powerful for people like me, because even though I'm not in this finance and insurance category, I can still reach out to people who are, and I can do business and get referrals. So this is exciting, especially exciting for me. Next slide, please, Steve. So here's Carrie Baychok. Now, Carrie Baychok is a very successful realtor in Sarasota with RE/MAX. And you can imagine in the real estate services, there are almost 600 people who are in this referral exchange. So you can imagine that Carrie could easily field a call from another realtor in Toronto, Canada, in the middle of the winter, and say that she has a client who is interested in purchasing property in the Metro Sarasota area because it's snowing. And everyone knows that in January in Sarasota, the weather is spectacular. So it's easy to imagine that Carrie Baychok could receive a call from a real estate agent, a BNI member in Toronto, looking for a referral. And of the 600 people in this real estate services group, there's got to be someone who needs what you have. So next slide, please. This is a good example of Holly Hearn of H2 Concierge Marketing, who frankly helped me enormously with this slide. So all these slides in this program. So thank you so much, Holly. Holly Hearn didn't necessarily want referrals, but she wanted to expand her contact sphere globally. So she got on the advertising and marketing sphere. And so all of a sudden she's connected with this referral exchange with 1,700 people who are in this advertising and marketing space. And she was able to connect with Catherine, who is in Hong Kong, who does PR. So there's Catherine in Hong Kong, and Holly is in Venice, Florida. So this led to Holly being invited to visit Catherine's chapter. And so here's Holly in one of two, as I understand, two American or English speaking chapters in Hong Kong. And she's up on the top middle, very top, and second from the left. There she is, and sometime at night. I don't know exactly the time differences. There's Holly at night visiting this chapter in Hong Kong. And it expands her footprint. It expands who she knows. And now Catherine has a really wonderful connection here in the States. This is what this referral exchange is meant to do. Next slide, please, Steve. So a couple best practices I've noticed. You know, this applies to everything that we do. I know we're all very eager to share what we do, and we're really excited about what we do. But I think best practices here is to be careful where you post, because if you are a uniform manufacturer in Vietnam, maybe you might not want to do a post in the animals category, for example, especially if it's the same post that you just posted in 15 other categories. If it's identical, you know, people are going to be a little bit cautious about that. So try to be very specific with your post. And that leads me to my next a tried and true tenet of BNI is specific is terrific. So the more precise you can be about your ask, the more likely it is that you will get what you want, that you will get what you're asking for. And this will help you to connect with the community, which is, of course, the whole purpose of this. And there is one more thing that as an editor, I just can't not say, and that is to double check your writing, because it's really a shot in the gut if you have misspellings in your post in any way. And just, I would suggest that you either double check it, or better still, have some fresh eyes look at what you've just written, because it's amazing how difficult it is to edit your own material, but someone who is not real familiar with it can come on and say, oh, look at that, you made this mistake, because your writing is such a harbinger of the quality of what you do. So those are the things. Don't spam. Specific is terrific. Double check your writing, and you're going to connect with the community. So next slide, please. There are 280,000 BNI members in 10,000 chapters all over the world. And here with Referral Exchange, we have the opportunity to become more than just a face. We have the opportunity to become friends, because we really all want, I think, the same thing. Bottom line, we want to prosper quietly. We want the opportunity through BNI to quietly prosper. So take advantage of Referral Exchange in the Business Builder part of the BNI.com website. Take advantage of the incredible opportunity that BNI affords us to do business everywhere on the planet. And never forget that wherever you are, there is BNI. Thank you, everyone.
Right. Thanks, Liz, for that. I love the idea of Business Builder, and I appreciate all the tips. I'm curious in the chat if people just tell us, you know, have you been on this part of Business Builder yet, or is that part of your plan? And tell us, you know, a little bit about how you think you can connect with people, either internationally or just across the U.S. We've got here. Yeah. I'm glad. I know a lot of people are saying that they weren't aware of this, and this is why we're talking about this today, Liz. And I know it's something that you feel really strongly about. It's like, what a great opportunity to go outside of your chapter and still use your BNI membership to connect with people.
Well, I've got to say that just by eyeballing the different categories, the 27 different categories, really it seems like the international BNI community has embraced this whole concept. And it seems like just my observation that some of the American members have been slow to recognize the power of what we're doing and what the capability of is it of. Because I pulled my chapter and nobody knew about it. In fact, Holly Hearn was how I heard about this, and I was blown away because I had never ever heard about it. And she started talking. She was so enthusiastic, but I hadn't heard of it. And I thought, ooh, this is a tool I want to have. This is a tool I need to know about.
Great. I like that Craig is already in it right now on his phone. That's great. I mean, I think that this is an untapped feature that just kind of slowly, softly rolled out to see how it would work. But I think that there's such a great opportunity. You never know who you're going to meet in BNI in your own chapter. So if you can imagine if you're opening up to people all over the world. And your point about writing and making sure that you're checking everything is important, especially if you're in advertising and marketing, like Craig is there, because you're presenting yourself as someone who's a clear communicator and someone within the industry. If you're working with someone where English is not their first language, I give everybody the benefit of the doubt because
absolutely,
Lord, I tried my Italian. And there's Jim Bartlett saying it's pretty new. It was added after we rebranded BNI University to BNI Business Builder. So many people weren't aware since it happened during the height of COVID. I think that's a great point that you're making, Jim, is that we're coming back after this time. And now, like, what have we learned? What are the new things we can try? And just try to be open for new business. I think there's an opportunity to make even more money than ever before.
Yeah, absolutely. And people are so interesting. I mean, what they're doing is just fascinating. You almost wish you had 100 different lives that you could do all these different things because it just sounds so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. There's lots of stuff. And what I've been reading in here is I'm seeing that other countries are taking advantage of this, but the US has been very quiet on it. So this is our opportunity to go in there, see which connections we can make. And maybe if you're going to be someone in a particular category to kind of, work it and post in it on a regular basis, you might be that go-to person who's going to get that business.
Absolutely. You can certainly be a role model in your sphere, in your contact sphere.
So we've got a few questions. So why don't we look at that? Jim's just asking, how do we log into it? So Jim, you're going to log into it the same way you would log into your BNI Connect account with the same username and password. Just go to BNIbusinessbuilder.com. Okay, Lisa says, could you use the referral exchange to find a chapter that doesn't have your category that you could visit? How would I do that? I don't know if that's what it's built for. I think it's built more for connecting in general by profession. Yeah. But I would definitely reach out to other chapters. I would see where you would want to visit. Let's say you wanted to check out a chapter in another country. Go onto their website and see who's on and see if there's an open seat there, maybe, and then ask to talk about your business. Always ask the president of a chapter if you want to visit it, see if it's okay, and see what their restrictions are. Every chapter is a little bit different. Yeah. Okay, Aaron says, I have seen emails, but never knew how to find this. I've seen a lot of international connections, but not so many domestic. Check it out again. So yeah, I think this is our opportunity with all of these people. We've got a few hundred people on today to go out there and just post on it for the first time and see what comes of it. It only takes a minute to go in, find your category and make a post.
And Steve, I had a comment not necessarily about the referral exchange, but everyone knows that the window of Zoom is going to be closing. We're going to be moving back to in-person. So if you can visit other chapters remotely, like I can, I mean, there are hardly any editors in the entire BNI network. And so last week and this week, I had a very specific San Francisco-based ask. And I have visited so far 8 different San Francisco BNI chapters. Always contact the president first. Always tell the president what you do, how, why you want to go visit that chapter. But I have visited 8 different San Francisco chapters via Zoom in the last 2 weeks, and who knows what could happen from that. So if you can get out and reach out to other chapters and do it now before the Zoom window closes.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, Yita says, I need to know more about Business Builder. In the profile, there's tabs for credits. What is that for? Oh, I see. Yeah. So in Business Builder in general, the more time you spend on it, taking courses, doing things like that, going to accrue points. And those points accrued divided by 60 is how many hours of, or how many credits you would be getting for what you do, right? For either you might take your member success program, you might be doing just watching a webinar, something like that, and all of that works out into CEU credits. I will tell you, there is, we had done one of these webinars with Laura Del Rosso, and she did kind of a walkthrough of BNI Business Builder. So if you did not see that, you can go onto BNI Business Builder in the search section under presentations and just type in BNI Business Builder walkthrough, I think is what we called it. And you'll see a full explanation of how all the different aspects of BNI Business Builder work.
I was on the other day and a fellow had accrued more than 1,000 points in Business Builder or in Referral Exchange. And I was so disappointed because he had a headshot and the rest of his profile was blank. And I was so disappointed because he looked so interesting. He did such interesting things and I wanted to read more about him. And yet he had not given us the information to kind of feel like we knew him. So don't miss out on the power of that profile that you can create on Referral Exchange.
Right. All right, so a couple more questions. Daphne says, how can a nonprofit benefit? And I think it depends on the nonprofit and what you're offering, and if it makes sense for you to be, connecting far outside of your community. I think most nonprofits are very community-based, unless it's a national nonprofit or an international. I think it depends, Daphne, on how you want to do it. But you know what? You've got nothing to lose by just going out there and checking it out. Right? So Craig asks a really important question, and it's this. How do you recommend we vet someone in a BNI group halfway around the world? If you're a member in BNI, should we just assume you trust them with a $10,000 project? I wouldn't.
No.
To me, I want to make connections, and then I want to do one-to-ones from those connections and talk to them. And if, depending on what they have to offer, I'd want to get testimonials. I want to make sure that they are someone that we can trust. And it is not unheard of for you to say to another BNI member, I want to make sure that I can trust you just as we trust our own members in BNI, right? That's what we're all about. So don't feel like that's not something you should be hesitant to say. Let them know this is a big project, it's worth a lot of money, and we're dealing with someone who's either out of state or out of country.
Yeah. But you can really establish so much of your bona fides by your writing. That profile that you do on the Referral Exchange, the profile you do on your BNI profile online, you can really establish a lot of credibility by just making sure you hit those profiles right out of the park.
I do like that Erin is mentioning just share your profile from LinkedIn.
Okay. If you're on LinkedIn. Yep.
So here's a little bit of a trick question.
Oh,
Good question. Nita says, for my local chapter, I only focus on one part of the business. Can I discuss other aspects of what I do on business? This is, yeah. No, here goes the fire truck. This is a tricky one. Here's the thing, Anita. Yeah, I suppose you could, but have to be careful if other people in your chapter are going to feel offended that you're doing that. So what I would say is, yeah, you could put it out there, but maybe you want to talk to other people in your chapter and say, hey, this is what I'm doing because it's outside the chapter. But make sure, though, that what you're going for is a large part of what you do. If it's a small part of what you do, and that's why you're not mentioning it in your own chapter, then I would not. I would stick with what I'm good at and what I'm getting the majority of my reports for, what you are as the pro in your chapter.
I have to agree, and I'm going to suggest you not do anything. I mean, a lot of us have little side gigs because we're entrepreneurs and we can't help ourselves. We just can't help ourselves. I know I have a couple, and maybe I have shared a little bit with selected members in my chapter, but I am not talking about anything but editing and publishing, and that is all I'm talking about.
Great. So Pat couldn't find it because she went into BNI Connect looking for it. So Business Builder is a separate website altogether. So go to bnibusinessbuilder.com. And that's where you get there. But use the same login credentials that you use for Connect, just in BNI Business Builder. All right. Are these videos posted somewhere after the class? Yes, we're going to post them right to, believe it or not, BNI Business Builder. What you'll do is you'll go into presentations, but you can search for it in the main search bar as well, just under BNI Talks. We also post to our BNI YouTube channel, and that is called BNI Team USA. Okay, and he says, it's a major part of my business, just not what my category is for BNI. Okay, so you've got our advice, so do with it as you will. We'll leave it at that. Okay.
Who was it who said she wanted to organize my office? I want you to know that my office is very well organized.
Did someone say they want to come in?
Yes, I saw that blow by in the chat. This is total organization. What can I say?
Even though Liz said, boy, I really should have arranged these books a little bit better before I came on.
That was private, Steve. That was between you and me.
Very funny. I have a background, so I don't have to worry about what I'm revealing.
Yeah, really. That's cheating.
It is totally cheating. Okay, and let's see. How about using some of the connections for when traveling to new places to meet new people? Absolutely. You know, if you know you're going to be somewhere at a convention or something, at a state, at a country. I know we have got our big BNI convention in October. That's going to be in Miami. So why not make connections and then do one-to-ones right there if you happen to be out that way? That's a great idea.
You bet.
Someone who's very organized. All right, I don't see any more questions. So there you go. So now your job is to get onto BNI Business Builder, look for those referral exchanges, go into your right category and see what kind of connections you can make. I'm gonna wait for a few people to add to it and I'm gonna jump in and see how you're doing and maybe we'll do a follow-up on this one.
Yeah.
So great job everybody for coming on today and seeing what Liz has to present. Liz, I always appreciate your enthusiasm for what you do. You are always well prepared for these things. And
thank you so much, Steve. It's an honor to present with you. Thank you.